Hey guys, Mac Kentucky Range Time. Back with another episode of our 8.6 Blackout gel block test series. And today we're looking at the third of our supersonic loadings. And this is the Hornady 225 grain CX all copper bullet. And this is another one of those bullets that all copper, and it has to be. I mean, big heavy bullets running really slow out of short barrels for jacketed lead core bullets is the only way you can keep from blowing these things apart, or going to all copper bullets, which is pretty much what I've done. So I'm working up loadings now. This is my third loading when supersonic loading with all copper bullet, and I've got two subsonic loadings now. And we'll get turned around here and take a look at this, but these all copper bullets, they're not really cheap, but some of the performance we're getting out of these is pretty good. Definitely is a couple of brands here that stand out and do a little bit better than one of the other ones. And if you watch through these series, you'll know which ones are which after you watch this one. So let's turn around and take a look at the loading, and then we'll head on out to the range. All right, so this loading is just a little different from the other two supersonic loadings. They still have the CCI large rifle primers and accurate 16-80 in common. Difference is we're running the Hornady bullet this time, and the brass is some of the converter brass that I made. It's a 6.5 Creedmoor Hornady brand that I have resized and trimmed down the length. So while we're here, here's a good look at this loading. Quite a bit of this bullet down in the case, out of the neck. And unlike the Barnes bullets, this does not have as many of those grooves around the bullet. And this is an older design before 86 come out. Whereas some of these bullets, especially like the Gorilla, that's been designed specifically for this 86 Blackout. So all right, let's get turned around here to the range and see what this thing will do. All right, guys, next up is the Hornady CX 225 grain. This is a supersonic loading, so we'll be looking for expansion and some fragmentation possibly, and penetration in the gel block with this one. All right, here we go. Hornady CX 225 grain, shot number 1. Velocity of 1,915 foot per second. These are subsonic or supersonic loading, so what I'm actually looking for on this particular loading, I had this worked up earlier and was getting some overpressure signs. So this loading, I'm actually checking. I've loaded it down a little bit to make sure that I'm back down into some safe pressure levels. All right, guys, so wound track for this one starts right here. It's a low wound track. Right here you've got the ballistic tip coming off. Here are several shards of copper, and there's what's left of the bullet. Appears to be about 27, 28 inches. So we've got some fragmentation, and we got some really deep penetration with this round. Kind of what we expected with the supersonic loading. Here's a look from the other side. Wound track, there's some more copper debris, pieces and parts coming through here. So, all right, guys, let's go back and put another one of these in here and see how consistently this thing's expanding and how consistent the penetration is. All right, guys, so we got expansion on that one. We got good penetration. And looking here at the fired case, on the previous loading of this, I had ejector marks, and the brass was pretty well flattened out. This one I have no ejector marks, and the brass is not, or the primer's not showing any any flow back into the firing pin hole like the previous loading did. So one of these so far is showing good on pressure signs. Let's get a couple more of these downrange and see what we do. I see copper laying out on the table on the left side of the gel block down there. 1914 foot per second. Standard deviation, gosh, it's close. Over 2 rounds is 0.2 foot per second. Let's go down and see what that one did. I'm definitely interested now. All right, guys, let's take a look at this round. So our wound track starts right here on this one and continues down. Looks like we lose our ballistic tip somewhere around the 10, 12 inch mark. Passes right on through. Sit right here. We do have some expansion at that point. We've got some pieces of copper floating around from this one. Some of those are from the other round as well. And then we do penetrate all the way through the plate. Guys, this is just like I found it right here. So this bullet was actually laying on the table. So we got expansion, 32 inches of penetration. It knocked the plate back that far with the bookend on it. And this bookend weighs about 15 pounds. Altogether, I got about 20 pounds of lead plate up here. So we got expansion, still very hot. We got expansion, we got fragmentation, and still had enough energy after 32 inches of gel block to drive these plates back like this. So that is a pretty hefty punch right there. Can't wait to test the barns in the next video. All right, guys, so here's a look at the results that I dug out of the block. And this round did not perform quite as well as the Barnes TTSXs did. Maximum expansion on any of these bullets has been just over a ½ inch. In this profile here, there's a picture of the calipers, digital calipers on this coming up here in a minute or two. But you can see here that this thing is opening up well, and there's some really big shards coming off here, but there's nothing to keep these shards from peeling right on back off this round, and that's what's happened with all of these that I shot, at least the ones that I caught. And you know, it's opening up. You've got a wound track there for a distance where these things are opening up that does pretty good. Temporary wound cavity is not bad, but you know, you're shedding all these. You're getting some really nice side penetration off these, creating bleeders. And then these are driving in a fairly good distance. So I guess it just depends on what you're wanting. You know, if you want to keep that bullet intact and carry that deep wound cavity all the way back, that's one thing. But, you know, once these shards come off, this thing's, it's basically straight line penetration after that. So just not going to get the results that you would if this stayed open like at 3/4, like the Barnes were doing. So. All right, guys, so there you go. The Hornady 225 grain CX all copper round. And, you know, I've noticed doing this testing that Hornady seems to be taking a different approach. And some of the comments, I realize that some of the guys are kind of buying into that a little bit. So this is the Hornady over here, and this is the Barnes TTSX. Barnes is looking for the expansion on this and these pedals to fold back, and most of their designs seem like they're maintaining a greater amount of their final weight, and instead of peeling that weight off and taking energy away from the main bullet. So the Barnes bullets are opening up wide, and they're penetrating deep, and they're creating that nice long wound cavity down through there. Whereas the Hornady bullets, uh, I guess this kind of reminds me of the 190 sub X that we tested in 300 Blackout, where it goes in, it fully opens up, it sheds a little bit of its weight, and then the petals fold completely back flat. And by the time it's done, the diameter of the opened up round after it expands is not a whole lot, not significantly larger than what the original bullet was, and that's close to the same thing with this CX bullet. This being the largest example. So anyway, guys, see the results. If you've got an application for this bullet, or maybe the only advantage is these are just a tad bit cheaper than some of the other Barnes CTSX bullets. So maybe they're a little bit more economical, and if they will suit the purpose that you're going to use them for, that's all that really matters. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you got any questions, leave them in the comments. Matt for Kentucky Range Time. We'll catch you on the next one.